Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite Excel macros. It's the replace from table macro. So I'll show you how it works. So I have this table here sitting in a background file called the personal workbook, and you'll never see this table unless you click to see it. So this sits in the background. Everything on the left side are the words I want to replace, and with the right hand side is what you want to replace it with. So I work for a company where we have members from the following companies here. So I make typos all the time. So whenever I hit the shortcut on my keyboard, it replaces my typo, my common typos, with the correct spelling. So for example, if I typed in J and J in my workbook, and then I just hit my shortcut Control L, well, then it replaces it with what you want. So if you find yourself screwing up things all the time, or maybe you have another use case, you just want to save time, like HPE, if you wanted to say, the full company name, or HP. Let's just try HP too. So if you do something like this, do another one maybe, and then you run it, you can just replace them all quick and easy. So let's get into it. All right, so the first thing you're gonna have to do is enable the developer tab. So if you've never made a macro, then you may be unfamiliar with this tab. So to do that, you come up to any of the tabs on your ribbon here, and you right click it, click customize the ribbon here, and then what you can do is add the developer tab. I think it's here, or maybe it's a main tab. So you can just add the developer tab to your Excel ribbon. So then it's always there, and if you ever want to get rid of a tab, you can also get rid of tabs here. So I already have it right here, so I've already added it, and then once you're done, you just hit OK. Then you have this nice little you can record, you can see all your macros, and this is the developer tab. So what you're going to want to do here is add this macro to your personal workbook. And what the personal workbook is it's actually your background Excel master macro file. So anytime you open Excel, okay, by default, if you have this file made, I'll show you how in a second, this opens up as well. You won't see it, it's hidden, but it's open in the background, and you can assign macros to this workbook, give them a computer shortcut, then they'll work in whatever workbook you're working in. So I'll have this hidden, and following one of the examples before, if you type in whatever misspellings you have and you run your macro, it still works. So it's super useful and very powerful. So if you don't have the personal tab already, or the personal workbook, and you can find out by coming over to the View tab, go to Unhide, and if you have it, that's great. If it's grayed out, then you'll have to enable it. The way to do that is to come up to your developer tab, record a macro, and then where do you want to store it? Well, you'll see your option, store it in the personal workbook. So when you click this, it'll create you that workbook. And if you already have it, you'll still have the option. Okay, so let's say you have the personal workbook tab, you have your developer tab, everything's all good. Let's come to the View tab, let's unhide it so we can start working within this workbook here. So the first thing you're gonna do, well, it's gonna be blank for you. So what you'll wanna do is give this sheet a name, call it replacement table. And we're only doing that because the code that I'll provide in the description box uses replacement table as the object. As the sheet. So give your sheet name exactly this, verbatim here, and then create a table. So you can give them headers, whatever you want. Mine was name now, replace with. I'll zoom in for you, and you can just turn this into a table. So if you format it as a table, I'll just do that for you. So let's say it has headers. Great. Now what you're going to want to do is give this table the name up here. And if you don't see this, then you have to click into your table, go to table design, and name it replace. Now it's called replace because in the code it uses replace as the table's name. So if you want it to be something else, that's fine. Just make sure you replace it in the code. Alright, so you have your table, you have your worksheet, everything's all good. Next thing you need to do is actually get that macro stored. So the way to do that is you go to your developer tab, record a macro. It doesn't matter what you call it because the code that you insert is just going to rename it. So when you store it, we're in the personal workbook now. So if you just do this workbook, then it's going to save in the personal workbook. So we'll just save it to this workbook. We'll give it a shortcut after we're done. So we are recording now. You can just come up and stop it, go over to your macros and find the one you just recorded. So here it is. You can edit this, and now we're editing. So you'll see I already have one up here because I did this earlier, but we'll just get rid of that one. So here we are, sub macro 2, that's the name. So in the description of this video, I'll have the text file for the code that you can steal. I actually found this from spreadsheetguru.com, so I didn't come up with this. I'm not very good at VBA, but I changed a couple things around so it works for my use case. So just like really quick going through it so you understand what some of the things mean. What it does is it looks at the sheet replacement table and it finds that object, that table. It takes everything from the left side and replaces it with the right hand side as it loops through every single worksheet. So one thing that you could change if you need to is how it replaces. So in Excel there's something called Excel part and there's Excel whole. Whole looks at the entirety of the cell's contents. So if it finds an exact match for the entirety of the contents from the left-hand side of that table in an Excel cell, then it replaces it. If you change this to Excel part, then it looks at pieces of cells, right? And it looks for just that string of characters. It doesn't matter if it matches the entirety. So for me, I needed Excel whole because I needed it to look at the entire cell. So and one last thing too is this loops through every single sheet. If you have a huge workbook, you might just want it to look at the one sheet that you're on. So there's another version of this in the description that just looks at your one sheet. So I've found with massive files with 10 plus sheets with huge tables on it, the macro could take a minute to run, which is not ideal. So take this, everything from end sub all the way up to the sub, and paste it in, delete everything, paste it in. So this is the new name of your macro, so replace names from table for YouTube there, and then it ends. This is the little message box at the bottom, so once it's done running, it says that it's all been replaced. So you can save this, cool, close it. Now you have it. So when you come up to macros, you can see the new macros name. So here it is, replace names from table. Come over and click options, and you can give this a shortcut. So I'll give this Control Y, and I think it automatically saves there. So we can go test it. So let's go type in rocket on another page here. So if I type in rocket and hit Control Y, well, then it replaced. So yeah, so here we are. And the last and final step is to save your workbook, come up to the View tab, and hide it. So now we're just in any old workbook. You could have all these mistakes all over the place, or whatever you want to replace, and you hit Control Y, and it replaces it in your workbook. So I hope this video helps you guys. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll read those. And thanks for watching.